we're going to look at dividing by zero. You may have heard in the past that you can't divide by zero, and this is true. We'll see why that all works that way. We're actually going to look at three different models. We're going to look at one of them, the partitive model. The second one is called the measurement model. And then the third one is just thinking of division as the opposite of multiplication. And each one will try and help us understand the issue with dividing by zero. Before we do that, let's actually first consider maybe an easier problem with each of the models and then see why dividing by zero is bad. For example, 12 divided by 4. Of course, I like to write division as a fraction. Fraction is division. And then, of course, you probably know the answer to this, 12 divided by 4. Well, let's figure it out using the partitive model. The partitive model has to deal with figuring out a part. For example, if we have like a word problem, like if you have 12 cookies and 4 people. A little bit of a dilemma there, but guess what? What we're going to do is we're going to figure out what part of the 12 cookies does each person get. And so let's figure that out. Of course, you probably already know the answer. If there's 12 cookies and 4 people, you know that if they split it evenly, what each part a person gets. So if I have the 4 people, so it's got person number 1, and then person number 2, and then person number 3, and then number 4. Let's see what each of them get. Well, if there's 12 cookies, let me start, dishing them out or serving them out evenly. So you get a cookie, you get a cookie, you get a cookie, and you get a cookie. That's 4 cookies so far. Then we got 5, 6, 7, and 8 cookies. I got more cookies to dish out. 9, 10, 11, and 12. And you can actually see what part each of the 4 people get. Looks like they each get 3 cookies. And, as you knew, the answer to 12 divided by 4, or written as a fraction, 12 divided by 4, we knew that answer was 3. Well, let's try and see how this shows us that dividing by 0 is bad. So first off, right now we can see that, well, what's the part? Each person's part of it, of the total, the 12 cookies, is 3. And that's why we got our division problem. Our answer was 3. Well, what if we try and do 12 divided by 0? And so if we write it as 12 divided by 0, this old school way, or with a fraction, 12 divided by 0, well, what would be the answer? A lot of people think the answer is 0, but we're going to see that that's not true. It doesn't work. Okay, so let's actually think about our word problem with cookies now again. So we have 12 cookies. Great. But now we have 0 people. This is a little interesting and weird. So the question is, what part, remember we're doing the partitive model, does each person get? Well, okay, 12 cookies, 0 people. What part does each person get? Some people would say the answer is 0. Well, as I go to draw this, instead of having person number 1, person number 2, and so on, actually, I don't even have any people. So how do I even dish out the cookies? You might say, well, each person gets 0. Well, guess what? There are no people. There is no person to get 0. Now, if I actually had 4 people here, I could give them all 0 and just keep all the cookies for myself, but still, that means each person would get 0. Here, there's no people. I can't even dish it out. I can't even withhold cookies from people, and I can't even give cookies to people. This just doesn't make sense. Now, again, some people argue that this one could make sense, but the answer is not 0, okay? All right, let's go to the other model, which is the measurement model. So let's go back up here. Let's go to our initial problem of 12 divided by 4 at first. We know the answer. Spoiler alert, the answer is 3. Let's use the measurement model. This time, the measurement model would look like this for our word problem. So if we have 12 cookies and each person will get 4 cookies, okay? This time we know the members. We just got to figure out how many groups. We know that each person will get 4 cookies, but how many people could we serve this to? So how many people can I serve? Serve the 4 cookies to each. That's what we got to figure out. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to measure this out, which is why it's called the measurement model. So here's what I'm going to do. I know I'm going to give 4 cookies. So, well, actually, first off, I know I got 12 cookies. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. But I'm going to measure it out. So this whole thing measures 12 cookies. But I'm going to measure it out by dividing by 4. So, okay, here's 4 cookies for somebody. All right, there's a person. That's person number 1. Or maybe I'll even call it the first person. It's probably a better way to say it. The first person. And then here we go. I got 1, 2, 3, 4 cookies, right? We're giving 4 cookies to a person. So here's the second person. All right, but I got some more cookies I can dish out. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Everybody gets 4 cookies. And so this is the third person. So it looks like, according to our measurement model, according to this word problem, the answer is 3. 12 divided by 4 is 3. Of course, we could also write it as a fraction. The answer is 3. And so for our word problem, what we'd say is that each person gets, actually I should say 3 people can get 4 cookies each. And that makes our 12 total cookies. We measured it out. Okay, now let's try this with this whole dividing by 0 problem. What would that look like for our dividing by 0? Let's write it as a fraction as well, and let's try and figure this one out. Of course, we already know the answer. It doesn't make sense. The answer is not 0. So here's what this would look like or sound like with a measurement problem. We got 12 cookies still, and each person gets 0 cookies because we're dividing by 0. So how many people can I serve and give cookies to? Well, okay, let me draw my 12 cookies. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Now, last time I measured out 4 cookies because we divided by 4. This time I'm going to measure out 0 cookies. Well, I'm not even going to measure out 0. So, the first person, how many cookies could I give them? The first person could get 0. Well, how about a second person? I still got 12 cookies. What would the second person get? The second person could get 0 cookies. How about the third person? Well, everybody's getting 0 cookies. So wait, how many people could I do this for? I mean, could there be a 4th person? Or even a 5th person? Could there be like a 10th person? Could there be a 100th person? In fact, could there be 0 people? Right? I could give 0 people 0 cookies. So this doesn't make sense either. In fact, this feels like the answer is like there's infinite possible answers. But what I would just say is for right now, this model also shows that this doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to divide by 0. This just isn't working. It's like I just want to cross this out. This isn't working. Well, let's look at one more method to really, really get this. And actually, this last method, I saved it for last because I think it's the best. I think it's the cleanest. These other ones try and explain a word problem style about dividing by 0. But I prefer to think of division as opposite of multiplication. So let's talk about that real quick. And this one I feel is really quick. Let's do 12 divided by 4, right? Or 12 divided by 4. And so the question is, what is that? We know the answer is 3. We saw it with the partitive model. Over here, the answer was 3. We saw it with the measurement model. The answer was 3. And of course, we could think of it as division is the opposite of multiplication. You can divide by 4, or we can multiply with 4. 4 times what could give me 12? Instead of 12 divided by 4 is something, I can do 4 times something is 12. And of course, you could think of this as 4 multiple times. And so if I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, you can see that 4 3 times is 12. And so we know the answer is 3, right? The answer is 3. 12 divided by 4 is 3. Okay. And this actually kind of looks like the the partitive model where I had, actually no, it looks more like the measurement model. I did 4 3 times, and that was it. Okay? Okay, well, we could also think of it as, let's just jump right actually to the 12 divided by 0 now. We know the multiplication. 4 times 3 is 12, and so 12 divided by 4 is 3. What about 12 divided by 0? If I go 12 divided by 0, what would that be? Well, hopefully we realized from earlier it just doesn't make sense, but let's actually think of it like multiplication. So that means instead of dividing by 0, we can multiply with 0. 0 times what is 12? Well, I don't know. Let me think about that here. What if I tried, some people think the answer to all of these earlier was 0. Well, let me try this. Is 0 times 0 12? No, that doesn't work. So the answer isn't 0. Okay. Is 0 times 12 12? No, 0 times 12 is 0. That doesn't work. Okay. So the answer isn't 12. Let's see. How about 0 times 1? Is that 12? Nope. That doesn't work either. So the question would be like, what times 0 is 12? 0 times what gives us 12? This is the multiplication version of our division problem. Let me write the division problem again down here. 12 divided by what is 0? And so 0 times what is 12? And you should be realizing that the answer is nothing. Like there's nothing that we can multiply here. We don't have a number that would work to multiply with 0 and get 12. Remember earlier we did this problem. We did 12 divided by 4 was 3, and that's because we know that 4 times 3 is 12. The multiplication works, and so it helps us know the division and multiplication. Well, that's not working here. We don't know what to multiply with 0 to make 12, so we don't know how to divide by 0. Okay? So there's actually a future answer that we're going to talk about. The answer to this 12 divided by 0, we actually have a way. Instead of just saying there's no answer, we're actually going to say it's undefined. And I'll save that for the next video as to why we call it undefined. I also want you to think about this. We just did 12 divided by 0. What could we do to think about like 11 divided by 0? Would that be the same issue? Or what about this? What about 0 divided by 0? Okay, well, spoiler alert, we can call them undefined, but the 0 divided by 0 has a special situation. So that's it for now. Check out why we call it undefined when you divide by 0 in the next video.